I've compared 6 electric outboard motors that theoretically match combustion engines between 3 and 3.5 horsepower, based on their specifications. Is one better than the others? Which one is the worst? We'll explore that. But I can already tell you there are some curious findings. The motors I've compared are Mercury Avator 7.5e, Torqeedo Travel S Essential, Parsun Joy 1.2, E-propulsion Spirit 1.0+, TEMO 1000 and Newport NT 300. The NT 300 notably doesn't include an integrated battery, but is an interesting outboard worthy of this comparison. Taking a quick glance at the comparison chart before diving into details, we see that the Avator 7.5e is equivalent to a 3.5 horsepower combustion engine rather than 3 horsepower, unlike the others. Interestingly, it also has the least powerful motor. Another point is that the Newport NT 300 uses a LiFePO4 lithium iron phosphate battery instead of lithium-ion. Let's dive deeper, starting with weight. A crucial factor, as these motors are primarily used on small or auxiliary boats, making transportation and installation frequent tasks. Unlike combustion engines, where dry weight is typically compared, here we consider the outboard weight, battery weight, and their combined weight. If we first compare the weight of the outboards without including the batteries, we can see that the heaviest by far is the Mercury, which has a more elaborate design with a kind of fairing to house the battery. The rest of the outboards are very similar in weight. From the lightest, which is the TEMO 1000, to the second heaviest, which is the Torqeedo, there's a weight difference of 1.6 kilograms or 3.53 pounds. When examining battery weights, we notice significant differences due to varying energy storage capacities. The lightest battery belongs to the TEMO 1000, but it has the smallest capacity. The heaviest is the NT 300's external battery. Among integrated batteries, the Parsun Joy 1.2's battery is heaviest, with a 1,440 watt-hour capacity. Curiously, calculating gravimetric energy density, energy stored per battery weight, the TEMO 1000 and Parsun achieve the best scores, justifying the Parsun's heavier battery due to its higher capacity. Now, analyzing combined weights, the TEMO 1000 is the lightest, benefiting from the lightest outboard body and battery. Conversely, the Mercury is the heaviest, mainly due to its much heavier motor body, despite having one of the lighter batteries. The NT 300 is the second heaviest due to its heavier battery. The Torqeedo, Parsun, and E-propulsion are very similar in total weight. For curiosity, I calculated the power-to-weight ratio using both the combined weight and the outboard body weight alone. In both scenarios, TEMO 1000 came out best, NT 300 third, and Mercury Avator 7.5e last by a considerable margin. Others swapped positions depending on the calculation. Earlier, we saw battery weights and their gravimetric energy density. Now let's look at the theoretical autonomy of these outboards, calculated by dividing battery watt-hours by motor watts. Results show Spirit 1.0 offers the highest autonomy at 1 hour and 16 minutes, closely followed by Parsun with 1 hour and 12 minutes. TEMO has the lowest autonomy due to its smallest battery. Parsun, Mercury, and Newport have similar autonomies. The theoretical calculations are not too far off either. The result of the Torqeedo's runtime is 58 minutes, and you can see that it matches the data shown on their website for this example. Now let's get into the thrust that these outboards provide. I have to say that both the Mercury's and the Torqeedo's values are not official data provided by the manufacturers. Since unlike the other manufacturers, Mercury and Torqeedo do not have a public thrust value at the time of making this video. They simply state that they can push boats of X tonnage, so I had to do some research and ask distributors to get an approximate reference value. Looking at the table, we see that the one that provides the most thrust is the Newport NT 300. This outboard, according to the manufacturer's data, provides significantly more thrust than its competitors. In last place is the TEMO 1000, which is capable of generating much less thrust than the rest of the outboards. In fact, in my opinion, its equivalence with a combustion outboard would be closer to 2.5 horsepower than 3 horsepower. The rest of the outboards provide quite similar thrusts. The Avator provides a little more, but this may also be because it is the only one that comes standard with a 3-blade propeller, as it is also the one with the least powerful motor. We've already looked at weight, battery runtime, thrust. However, some of these motors have differentiating factors that I would like to highlight. Starting with the Newport NT 300, Its distinguishing feature is the non-integrated battery, allowing flexibility to use various batteries from different manufacturers and capacities, usually more economical. However, this may be inconvenient in small tender boats due to space considerations. It's also the best choice for those prioritizing thrust. I'll continue with the TEMO. This outboard has a completely different design from the others, being the lightest and probably the easiest to handle when transporting and installing or uninstalling it from the transom, which makes it ideal for small tenders. Although, in my opinion, this motor should be classified as a 2.5 horsepower outboard, not 3 horsepower. Now it's the Mercury's turn. It is an attractive option due to its design, and it offers good thrust, but the outboard without the battery is very heavy compared to the competition. If you're looking for thrust and an aesthetic component, this outboard is a good option. Lastly, E-propulsion Spirit, Parsun Joy, and Torqeedo Travel share similar concepts, with the Torqeedo being the worst option. When choosing among these, the price will likely tip the scale, particularly between E-propulsion and Parsun. If you own any of these motors, you can leave a comment with your experience. I'm sure your comment will help other boaters who want to buy an electric outboard. And if you don't have any of these outboards, tell me which one you would choose. Fair winds and following seas.